Have you checked the children?
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes that is better.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
And you got Jaime Fuego here.
And we are here to do a fresh review of a movie that just got released this week. You guys are seeing it a day or two later, but we're here to talk about The Lodge. Now, this was one that I was going to skip because I had only watched one review of it, and I watched Angry Joe's review of it. Because they watch a lot of horror movies, I don't always agree with them, but all three of the people involved really hated on the movie, giving it like 1s and 2s out of 10. And so I was like, ooh, I don't know. I even told Fuego, I was like, you can see it if you want to. But then another review popped up by Spooky Astronauts, Emma down there in Australia, and she swore by it, saying it's excellent. She said, we have another winner here, and I didn't watch the rest of the review because I didn't want to be tainted by it or anything like that. But I was like, well, if she's so positive and they're so negative, it's just one of those, so I got to experience it for myself. So I went and saw it, Fuego went and saw it, and I got to be honest, I came away not feeling happy, but it was a really, really well done movie. I really dug it. I will get it. I will add it to my collection. I don't know how often I'll go back to it, but it is one that I would probably enjoy sharing with people that had never seen it before, because
Very
it is
much so.
dark. It is dark. But I did enjoy it. Fuego?
Yeah, it is about as chilling as the setting where the predominance of the film takes place. It's tough in this regard because I don't know if I would say it was an entertaining movie, but it was an effective movie. Effectively messed up my day, and it's rough, you know, but it's a sign of really great filmmaking when that sort of impression is put across, man. I mean, it's disturbing, you know, and it's unsettling. And there was actually two people seated beside us who in the first 10 minutes walked out of this movie. So I don't want to give like immense expectations or anything, because it is very slow burn and isn't going to be for everybody. I mean, between the two dueling reactions that Cecil mentioned already, but I thought it was terrific, and needs to be seen if you're into this sort of slow burn horror. So
we're going to have to tread lightly when we're talking about the story.
Very much so.
But basically what happens is we are introduced to a mother and her two kids. The mother played by Alicia Silverstone, which I heard someone whisper, that's Alicia Silverstone, and I was like, is it? And then once she smiled for the first time, I was like, oh, it's definitely Alicia Silverstone's smile.
Aww.
So it's definitely her.
Excess baggage.
But she goes to drop her kids off at her estranged husband's house, and she finds out that he wants to, finalize something, and he's going to be moving on in essence, and she doesn't take it well. Something happens, and she kind of exits the picture, and the kids are left to deal with her no longer being around and living with the father and his new woman.
Grace.
Grace, yes. Who, all they know about her is what they were told via their mother, which obviously you would know in any situation like this, it would not be good,
Terribly.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's all they know about her, and the father decides, 6 months after the event happens, the father decides, well, let's go to, the remote place that we've gone to celebrate Christmas before.
As a family in its previous incarnation.
And I want to bring Grace along because it'll get you guys a chance to get to know her and stuff like that. Unfortunately for him, the kids very much blame Grace for what has happened to their family.
Which is fair.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. And so at first they're very reticent. They're like, no, we don't want to do that. But eventually they kind of just give in because their father's very insistent. And it turns out as soon as they go, and this is kind of the weird thing, as soon as they go, he has to kind of like leave on a business thing, and he's going to like be back in a few days. So he's leaving them with Grace. And the weird, there's a weird backstory to Grace that makes all the proceedings sort of uncomfortable from the start anyway.
It's in the trailer. She
was
she was in a cult.
Right.
And she was the sole survivor of said cult, and she has
a religious cult.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking like Heaven's Gate kind of crap. And she's got some PTSD that is lingering, and she is medicated to kind of be okay with some of that stuff, which does play into the story a little bit. But really, it's about the fact that she is trying to start this new life with this guy who is significantly older than her, probably about twice her age, if we're going to be fair. And yeah, all of the tension between her and the kids when she is left as their sole guardian of sorts, when husband is called back to, do some work for this newspaper, that they mentioned whisperingly here and there throughout the story that he's a part of, and that he's, in very high demand and has presumably, like part of really prime importance and stuff. And so, yeah, dad is gone, and these kids are stuck with the woman that they resent significantly. And that's really the breeding ground for what transpires the rest of the life.
Something happens about halfway through, and it kind of changes the movie, and you're like, what is going on? You can't really identify it, but the movie drops you hints, and then you're able to kind of figure out some stuff. And it's a really interesting ride that takes you down to a place where you're just like, oh no. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
It's very jarring perceptively too with some of the stuff like, is this really happening or not, sort of stuff that they do. So, I mean, it does play on those tropes, but very effectively. And I mean, once we get into the filmmaking, these guys did a film called Goodnight Mommy previously.
I still haven't seen that.
I really dug Goodnight Mommy, another disturbing one like this one. So it's of their ilk, obviously. So.
Yeah, this was a really I mean, let's just jump right into it then. I mean, after the story, let's get to the cinematography, because the way it was made, since you talked about it.
Yeah, it's super chilling, man.
Yeah, it was a really beautifully presented movie. It was wide open while being claustrophobic at times, and unnerving and disorienting when need be. It was just a very beautifully presented movie, cinematography wise.
Yeah, symmetry of the shot selections alone, especially early on at the funeral, where you're like looking up at the cross, and some of that stuff was just great decision making as far as how to frame up the look of the movie. And I mean, all of those exteriors, whether it's ice and snow and everything, and I mean, you felt the isolation, you felt the tension, you felt that. And I know you don't typically like bunker movies, and this is kind of a bunker movie of sorts, it is. But I
didn't feel like it though, because they leave the house. They can leave the house.
Yeah.
And they might not get anywhere because of the storm, but they can. It's not quite as claustrophobic. But you're right. It is, in essence, a bunker movie.
Yeah, but just like Goodnight Mommy, it's a beautiful looking movie, and just the way it was framed up throughout, I was immensely impressed by it. Very seasoned and sophisticated. So.
And the acting was all good, honestly. There's two child actors, and then Alicia Silverstone and two other adults, the father and Grace, and everyone was really strong. Everyone played their parts very well. Alicia Silverstone was super effective. Big Bill from It Chapter 1 and 2, the kid version, he plays the older brother. And then the little girl was fantastic.
So some of her crying scenes, man, like I teared up myself.
Oh, I totally did.
Just from her emotion.
I got ripped up from that one scene that I know you're referring to. It is so hard to watch. It's kind of a reverse of a really, really immensely powerful emotional scene in Hereditary. It's kind of a reverse spin on that, but it's so effective, and your heart just breaks in 1,000 pieces when you see it.
And just to jump back to Hereditary really quickly, this probably derived a little bit of inspiration from it with some stuff they do with dollhouses, which was actually very, very interesting as far as some foreshadowing for things that go down later in the film.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I was like, I got to keep an eye out for how that's all going to play into it. But
great acting, man.
It was beautifully presented. The acting is fantastic. Effects wise, when there was need for effects, they were there. That's the nice thing. This is a movie that it's not
very organic.
Yeah, it's very organic. It doesn't need a bunch of effects. It doesn't use a bunch of effects. The story is just so well told and so engaging that it doesn't have to rely on that kind of stuff, which is nice to see every now and again.
It gets all the tension across through acting and storytelling. It doesn't need to augment it really. And setting plays a big part in the dread of sorts of all of it. And I have to say, music, man, the use of Nearer My God to Thee throughout the entire film, creepy. It was a song that I found growing up in the church to be kind of creepy already, but they amp it up big time through just various usage and in different forms and variations throughout the entire film. And yeah, now that song is forever gonna going to be just one of those that has altered its perception to me because of this movie. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is I don't know anything else to talk. I think we hit pretty much every point without spoiling, so that's probably where we should cut it.
Yeah, we were very very careful and tasteful in this one, I would say.
So yeah, guys,
it's
definitely worth your time. It is a bit slow, but it's a slow build for a reason. It's building to something, and just let it play out, because it's not you're not going to come away like skipping, all that, really happy or anything, but
no.
it's a really intense movie, and it's worth watching.
Yeah.
There have been a number of those recently, Nightingale being the most recent
That's
example.
one that I could compare this to,
Right.
actually, as far as just vibe, and I sometimes slow burns don't deliver a fulfilling conclusion. Oof, yeah, this one does.
This one does, for sure.
sure.
So check out The Lodge, you guys. If you have seen it, let us know what your thoughts are. Don't spoil it for anyone, though, in those comments down below, since we didn't spoil anything. If this makes you want to see it more, let us know your thoughts, any of those thoughts, in the comments down below. While you're down there, click the like button and subscribe, and click the notification bell. You can also click the link to our Patreon, where you can request movies for us to review or do commentaries for, and you can go to our TeePublic site, where you can get either of these shirts.
this
These
one
are
too.
designs
I
that are
forgot.
available on our TeePublic site. So thank you guys very much for supporting the channel. Thank you for watching. Until next time, I've been Cecil Laird.
And gracias a Jaime and Fuego.
And remember, stay scared.